All right, welcome everyone. This is a public meeting of the West Bend School District and School Board Curriculum Committee. It is 4:30 p.m. on June 17th of 2025, and we will start with introductions. My name is Melanie Ergott, School Board Member.
June Kruger, School Board Member.
Kelly Lang, School Board Member.
Kelly Downs, Curriculum Coordinator.
Adrian Schneider, Program Administrator.
Tina Van Roo, District Data and Assessment Coordinator.
Erin Faust, Program Administrator.
Jen Wimmer, Superintendent.
All right, so the first item we have up for discussion today is the Notice of Academic Standards, and that was prepared by Dr. Jen Wimmer.
Sure. The agenda, each item kind of is in readiness for the year ahead. So one of the statutory pieces that we need to do is provide notice of the academic standards that we are using. You see both last year's notice as well as this year's notice. We cleaned up a couple acronyms that might not have been clear for a reader, but other than that, there's no changes, no new standards, no changes. But the board will be asked procedurally to take action on the adoption, so then we can share that. We link that to our website, we include it in handbooks, things of those nature. So there's no changes other than, like I said, cleaning that up for the reader a little bit. Any questions from the group? Given that this is procedural, given that it's exactly the same as last year, I'll work with Chris on putting that into the consent agenda for that. We can always set it aside if any other board members have questions on it, but I'll let them know that we've vetted it's the same consistent piece and it is a procedural item.
All right. Well, thank you for that presentation. The next item up for discussion is the 2025-2026 assessment calendar, and that was prepared by Tina Van Roo, our District Data and Assessment Coordinator.
All right, similar to Superintendent Wimmer, we are showing the same format as we did last year, highlighting the different seasons and assessments that will be given. The first table also shows if the assessment is driven by state or if it's a local choice that our district chooses to give. The only change from last year to this year, which I previewed in the board report earlier in the month, was filling that kindergarten math screening hole. So on this draft, you'll see that we are proposing that STAR math be extended to kindergarten as we already give it in grades 1 through 8. So that would be the only change. The update is in regards to Act 20, the early literacy screener. This school year, it was a partial implementation year where we were not able to give the assessment during all the screening windows just because of when DPI produced it. So next year, we will be able to fully give it 2 times to our 4K students and all 3 times to our kindergarten through grade 3. So we'll have a full implementation under the law next year. Along those lines, STAR for those overlapping grades will be given all 3 assessment windows next time too. Now that we've learned that the assessments do provide different measures and information, we decided we needed both to get a complete picture of the students' abilities.
I think another piece that when you look at this in isolation that you might not gather is the alignment to some of our professional days so that our staff have the data that they need to create instructional plans. It aligns with conference schedules so that parents have that information, and then you get that kind of intermittent data so that there's time before perhaps grades are posted, the end of grading periods, that kind of thing. So there's it's all synced and aligned with those other elements.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all the district chosen are administered strategically in fall for those given reasons, again in winter so that we can review student intervention needs, so on and so forth. So we place them in those particular months so that we have processes to follow after to respond to student needs.
And then after those large windows, you see Tina generally at the board at the culmination of each semester where she provides an update around the status of student performance on all the measures that are gathered. So you would expect to see this data back in front of the full board in the next year.
One thing to highlight, there is a star next to a couple dates on the first windows. This year, we were very fortunate at the high school to be able to administer our pre-ACT or ACT suite of assessments. And opposite of the kids who were testing were the kids who were not testing. Those not testers were able to participate in community events, such as going on business tours and things like that. So we do have some dates listed on here with an asterisk, just noting that they might change. We are still working with that community partners to solidify the date that would work best so that our testers can do something opposite of the non-testers in the community to still get all those experiences and instructional minutes for the day. So those dates will be solidified, just not at this time. Any questions? Thank you.
Oh, all right, thank you. I appreciate all the thought that must go into aligning all of those different dates and things. So it's good to see that all falling into place there. All right, so then the next item here is the 2025-2026 professional development, and that
I can
was
speak to
prepared
that.
by Jen Weber.
Yep. So recall a couple meetings ago that this team put together kind of the process by which we look at curriculum, the cycle of curriculum development, both short-term and long-term. We are looking at, based on some feedback, if we need to move some long-term pieces around in math, perhaps, for our younger grades, but that's not solid yet. But looking at the year ahead and in alignment with the curriculum cycle, you can see each of the days that students are not in session, and we have a full day with our staff, and then what each team is doing and its connection to the curriculum phase and cycle, and what the expectation is for completion. I can see somehow when you convert it to a PDF, you don't see the phase specifically in that column. It appears empty. We'll get that changed and updated. But it does note exactly what phase that is, so you can map it back to the curriculum cycle, and you can see again the alignment of the work coming forward, so that our staff who are undergoing those different phases, all of their time, talents, collaboration are spent on doing what is kind of aligned to those pieces. So this was a piece that was put before staff before they left to go through and weigh in and provide feedback, making sure we were meeting their needs as well with the professional development for the year ahead. And largely no significant feedback received from staff, that it was in alignment with what they needed and what their expectations were. Now, with that said, each one of these days will have a mix. There might be some site-focused time where principals or teams are meeting at their site. They would have some individual work time. That's also important for our staff, in addition to this larger district time where they're attending to these pieces. So this is the PD plan for the year ahead. What's missing are a couple, it's a bucket of hours, of 8 hours. It's a day not scheduled on the calendar, but is in attention to the work for all of our K-4 staff. They will be accountable for literacy training and an assessment at the end of the year as part of Act 20. So they had CKLA implementation last year. This is a secondary piece that they'll be going through next year, and it requires 4 hours a month. So we have some bucket of hours in attention to their significant time outside of their workday that they would receive credit for. So we're building that in kind of where it needs to go, and then how that would impact our other staff. Because again, there's a significant amount of work that they're in attention to in planning, building assessments, et cetera. So we're kind of crediting that time in there. So we'll frame that up as well.
All right, anybody have any questions on that one? No? Will we see this before the full board eventually?
Yep, so we'll take this at our next meeting if, again, we put out these pieces in front of the staff for their feedback. Even Tina's assessment calendar change, they had tried some different assessments, went out for feedback prior to making decisions in those pieces. We put together the entire professional development calendar in front of people for feedback. Your next thing as a board, you must approve the curriculum, right? So that curriculum cycle gets approved, the standards get approved, your assessment calendar gets approved, and then I would just package it with the professional development so they can see that whole piece together. So I'll bring that forward to the team so we can talk about the work of the department and the committee, and that they get their kind of final action piece leading into the school year. Because July 1, we kind of start our new year ahead.
Okay. All right. Well, then I guess if we don't have any further questions, we have reached the end of our planned agenda, so I will go ahead and adjourn the meeting. Thank you, everybody.